Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Madison podcast. I'm your host, Ben Lavender, New York's favorite British mortgage broker. We have a very interesting, unique, special. I'm trying to think of other adjectives to describe you, Bridget. Brigitte Malik from multiple companies, because I consider you, I would say, a serial entrepreneur, but you're very entrepreneurial. You're well accomplished. You dabble in a lot of things. So, Bridge, pretend I didn't say any of that. Introduce yourself to the people, please. Tell them how cool you are, what you do, why you do it.
Hey, everybody. My name is Brigitte Malik. Most people all know me from Inspection Boys and Main Street Success. But like he said, I have a number of different businesses, too, and super excited to be here. Thank you.
What are the other businesses?
All right. So, obviously, home inspections.
Yep.
But I own about 4 different companies with home inspections.
Gotcha.
So we're in New York, and then Florida. We have a bunch of locations. Then there's Main Street Success. A lot of people don't realize Inspection Ways is a franchise. So I'm one of the franchisors as well. So started it. We've grown it. Really proud of that.
As it should be.
Yeah, it's been, a lot. We also have an insurance side of the business where we do like insurance inspections.
Oh.
So that's a whole nother side. Kind of downsizing that one. Kind of what I started with and trying to slowly just downsize it more and more. We also have A-Tax now. So A-Tax is a tax service.
Yeah.
Super easy. Just I don't do any of the taxes, but we hire people. Zoom and Grooming, which is a mobile dog grooming company.
Really?
Yeah, that's about to start. We have our truck that's about to, get delivered.
Yeah.
Then we have Johnson, which Johnson is like an amazing staffing company. So that's going to be starting later on in the year. And then
Any specific jobs or just general?
So pretty much because we're so heavily involved in franchising, we bought the rights to these companies to franchise in specific areas. And it's pretty much made for high-end staffing. Like if a company, I use tech a lot as an example, but if you have a tech company and they're hiring for a position, then Johnson steps in, finds that ideal candidate, and then they also get, like, for example, it could be a year, 5 years, whatever it is, they get a portion of that salary too. And that's how the staffing company gets paid.
I have a friend of a friend that does that. I'm not sure if it's in tech or in Madison, but very lucrative.
Yeah.
Good business. For sure.
Very good business. So I'm really
Not
excited.
easy,
Not easy. None of the businesses are easy.
True.
So when people think it's just like, I'm really good at building businesses and I can start a business and I won't start something until I really understand everything from top to bottom. And then we just kind of implement.
So how many businesses is that?
Right now, I want to say 14.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
How in the fudge do you do that? That's
our staff. Because they all kind of...
You must have an army.
Yeah, we do. It's ridiculous. I hate doing payroll.
Yeah. It's mine.
I mean, but without them, none of this would happen.
Yeah.
So...
well, it's also you. Without you providing the opportunity, it wouldn't happen for them either.
Yeah.
Right? So it goes both ways. We need them. They need us.
Yeah.
And but it's got to be tough, right? I forget, Bridge. You have kids?
Yeah. I have
many?
one daughter.
Okay.
And I'd like to have more maybe next year.
Any pets?
I have 2 dogs.
Okay.
Yep.
So you got a full family. So you're managing 14 businesses. Is your husband involved in the businesses?
No.
Or just completely separate?
My husband, well, he works at the Long Island Railroad. So he's like...
So he's got the stable job?
Yeah, he got the stable job, the insurance. But he knows everything because at the end of the day, I still have to talk to somebody every single day and kind of vocalize what I'm going through the day. So he knows everything. At one point, he could be a home inspector if he wanted to. Yeah. He has all the education, the requirements, and everything, but we just never end up doing it.
Maybe it's healthy that you keep it separate too.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're together 24/7, I mean, I know some couples that do it, and I know that it works well for, and then I know a lot that it doesn't. I know more that it doesn't than it does.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we have a good balance. He comes to me with the events, supports me. Wherever he can, he helps me. So,
which I actually have to start coming to your events.
Yes.
As we were discussing before, I will come.
Yes.
I will not drink, but I will not behave. I will just be crazy.
Do you not drink?
I don't not drink. I just don't really feel the need to these days.
Okay.
Like I was out last night. I went to a networking event in the city, and then I went to a friend's birthday, just like casual for drinks, and I didn't drink at either one, and I was like still perfectly fine, and that's kind of new for me. Like I usually have at least one, right, and hang. I just didn't feel the need to. So it's just, why do it if you don't need to? Or like, it's different if everyone's like out and it's a huge thing and you don't want to be a downer. But I know a lot of people that don't drink either, and they're just like, yeah, just you don't need to.
Well, my business partner Matt, he doesn't really drink, not because, he just doesn't feel the need. I have to say, after I got my surgery, not drinking, I consider myself a social drinker.
Yeah.
But
Same.
then all of a sudden I went from like not drinking at all, and I felt like, wait a second, I kind of feel better. Like I found myself way more productive with things too. Yeah. So I can understand it.
Yeah, and it's just like a recovery, it slows you down. I don't want to get into a whole conversation about recreational drugs, but there are other choices which are easier to recover from, but to each their own. And I mean, look, to be fair, all that stuff is becoming very accepted these days, but still, let's stay away from that. Okay, so back to the business stuff. So everyone knows you in the business for your for Main Street Success and the Inspection Boys, obviously. So when did you get started?
So I got started in industry 2014. It was
that's not that long. I mean, I know it's 9 years, but still,
it's relatively new.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Inspection Boys didn't start right there and then. We started franchising Inspection Boys, I want to say maybe 2017, maybe 2018.
So in order to franchise an inspection company, I imagine it's not easy to get in a position to do that. So you must have grown it very quickly. So how did you do it? And then where did you get the idea to franchise from?
A lot of mistakes, a lot. We had to learn everything and figure out how to start and franchise. Like franchising law is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like every state is different. We already had really good marketing that we were doing that we saw was working. It was just a matter of putting all these systems together. Like a franchise, you're buying a business in a box,
Interesting.
So we had to get everything documented, do all this legwork. The first few years we really sold to some of the wrong people. That was just the end of it. Like you have people that are like, yeah, we want to buy, and they're giving you huge amounts of checks, and you're like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then we slowly realized, okay, there's a certain criteria that you really need to be looking for. So we definitely made mistakes in the beginning. Right now we're about 32 locations, which is, it's absolutely incredible. But a few years ago, we sold half of our franchise to a higher conglomerate that's very well known in the industry. And the reason that we decided to do this is we wanted to limit the mistakes. Yeah. We were making so many mistakes, spending so much money, and we really wanted like that next person who's
done it already.
Right.
And
exactly. Yeah. So we partnered with John Hewitt, which those who are in the tax industry would know him very well. He's like considered like a tax god. But he sold over 5,000 franchises.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah. So we met with him. We really liked him. He asked us questions, and so now it's kind of cool because we literally, between myself and Matt, my business partner, we get like hands-on training with him. Like he tells us, like sometimes he goes on our calls, and then all of a sudden I'll get a text from him like, hey, call me. And then I call him and he's like, tell me everything I need to change or what to make better. And it's like, why wouldn't I listen to this guy?
Especially given how respected he is and how much experience he has, it would be. And you've kind of like basically got him as a mentor now.
Right, exactly. Which is so like, I'm not used to this because at the end of May, we have to go to Virginia Beach for franchise training, and we go every year. And I'm around all these massively successful people that have like sold millions of dollars of franchises. And these are all the people that are like, I'm hanging out with. And it's like, it's a whole nother, so it's really
You're in
cool.
Good company, and then you level up.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So as they say, the more people that you hang out with that are successful, the chances of you being more successful will increase.
Right.
It's just automatic. You adopt the same behaviors. You learn from them. It's how I grew even like myself. When I joined the mortgage business, most of the people that I was around had 10 years more experience than me, were older than me, and it's like, it just streamlines your success when you're around that. So you're very lucky, Bridge.
Yeah.
You're very lucky. I mean, I shouldn't say it's luck, right? Because you put yourself in that position, you work for it, but there's a little combination of some luck and hard work. Or what's the saying? You have to, success is when hard work meets luck or something like that, right? Like you worked hard to get there and it put you in the right situations, basically.
When I think about the early days, like I worked a lot. I mean, I still work a lot. It's
Yeah,
not that
you do.
it's not that my
You're
hours change. Yeah, it's not like my hours have changed, but like the responsibilities and the tasks have changed. You know, when I first got started in industry, I was only inspector.
Yeah.
I was doing everything. I was my own scheduler. I was answering all the phones, doing all the marketing. It was very stressful. And then I think the hardest thing actually in the beginning was that fear of hiring that first employee.
Yeah.
That took me a long time to do because I was so scared.
What made you finally decide to do it?
Actually, it was my mom.
Really?
I was talking to my mom, and my mom, my family they were all entrepreneurs, so my mom had a lot of experience. I was just telling her how my anxiety felt, and she was like, "You just need to do it. Like, just do it. Like, stop being scared. You're gonna make mistakes, and just hire."
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right. So I used to do all the interviews in like the Howard Beach Starbucks on Cross Bay Boulevard.
Yeah.
That's where, because I used to live in Queens, so that I would meet everybody there and just interview them there and start hiring. And then from there, it just started growing really quick. We've made mistakes. You know, there's been a few times where we've almost lost it all.
Wow.
You know, like in the beginning, and, you know, it's some really bad situations that have happened. But I also just, you know, anxiety-wise, my anxiety went through the roof, but I also learned some things what not to do too.
Like what?
All right. So example, I had this one person that used to work for me, and all of a sudden they said, they used to do like a lot of work for us, and they said, "Hey, I can't work as of whatever date." And I'm like, "All right, no problem. Like, you gave me notice. Cool. No problem." Then he messaged me a few days later, "Hey, I won't be able to get all these jobs done." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, you still got like 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you can't get this done?" And he was like, "Sorry, I can't help you." So then I just kind of was like, so then I started thinking back. That was a lot. It was like 150 jobs. Like in insurance inspections, you deal with a lot of volume.
That's tremendous.
Yeah. And so I'm like thinking, how the hell do I do this? How do I avoid situations like this? And I was trying to think about all the negatives that led up to this point, right? So then what I did after that is I just kind of like reverse engineered it. I just took away all the negatives, and I came up with solutions for all those negatives, so a situation like that never happens again.
Gotcha.
And ever since then, I've still been living with that, where it's just like, you know, I've put certain processes in place to avoid if somebody leaves, I'm not stuck with such a large workload, and I have ways
Well, you also have other staff that can handle that, right?
Right.
So, which is absolutely
key,
but you got to train those people, you got to take care of them, you don't want them to leave. Like, even with I think the same thing about my team, right? Like, I want everyone to, for the most part, be able to do each other's jobs and understand the system, but that's not an easy thing to accomplish, Bridge. I mean, that to put those systems in place to protect you from that happening again must have taken a while.
It did. And some parts of it failed. Like when I had my daughter, I won't forget this. I told this to my husband, I won't never let this happen again. But when I had my daughter, I was literally having contractions and pushing, and I'm answering the phone call to inspectors who are in the field.
That's insane.
And my husband's like looking at me.
You are crazy.
Yeah. That's what he said to me too. But at that point, like I had to, so I'm still answering phone calls. After I gave birth to my daughter, you know, I asked, she was in ICU for a little bit, so I couldn't see her right away. What did I do? I took out my laptop when I'm in my room and I start working. And my husband's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't have a choice." Like, what choice? Like, who is my backup?
Yeah.
You know?
No one.
And, you know, he understood that, but like, so now ever since that, a lot happened after I had my daughter. The person I trained really dropped the ball on a lot of different things. And I was there, you know, going through postpartum, crying my eyes out because of toothpaste. Like, I don't even understand the logic there. And my mom, and then I'm trying to balance work. Thank God my mom was there, but that was just some of these things. So now I told my husband, next time I have a kid, that ain't happening.
No.
Like, I forbid to ever go through that again.
Yeah, it's like even the money isn't worth the stress. I was talking to several people in the business, and we were like discussing how, like, as a loan officer, we experience tremendous burnout because not only are we working on files all day, but we're also networking. We have to call. So what happens to a lot of us is that we go through these cycles of where we're like super responsive, and then all of a sudden we just physically cannot take it anymore. And like a lot of people, especially realtors, don't realize like when your loan officer stops picking up the phone or isn't as responsive, it doesn't mean that they're dropping the ball. They're literally just burnt out.
Yeah.
They cannot handle it. And so I came to the conclusion years ago, actually, that because it happened to me as well, right, is that instead of being that one man or one lady, gal, whatever, shop that handles everything, you have to have a team for longevity in this business, or quite candidly, any business, as you've so eloquently put.
So the other thing I noticed too, as we were scaling, is keeping the mentality of your, like, I have to be very in tune of what our staff is, like their emotions. Yep. Like if I see that they're getting burnt out, morale, if I see that they're getting burnt out, or if I see that there's an issue arising in the office, I have to be that proactive one to try to stop this from like a cancer spreading in the rest of the office, you know. Thankfully, we've never had that issue.
Do you like send them home for a week? Like, what do you do?
So thankfully, we never had a situation, knock on wood, that has really, but we did have a situation recently where an employee was in a really bad situation. Like they were dealing with a lot of personal stuff.
Happens?
Yeah, happens. Life gets in the way, and it was just a lot, bang, 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 all at once for the individual. And this person's been with me for a very long time. They've proven loyal to me, you know, and, you know, I care about this person genuinely. And some people were like, oh, you know, just time to let them go. But I'm not really that type of person where it's like, if you're going through something, why am I going to kick you when you're down? You know, so I was just trying to help them and trying to see what's going on. And turns out they were in a really toxic relationship too. And people don't realize that, like, when you're in these toxic situations, it affects your entire life.
Absolutely. A lot of people say to separate personal from work, but that's not possible.
It's not possible.
Yeah, it affects your work.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was very much, and you know, I don't really get involved in our staff's like personal life like that. But I was like, look, whatever it is you're going through, whatever, you know, relationship you're in, it's affecting you. Like your work ethic has gone down the garbage. Like it's just not there. So finally, they just came to their senses, but it took time, and they finally ended the relationship. And then all of a sudden, the person who was there before was back.
Yep.
You know, but imagine if I had just let them go.
How long did it take them to get back to normal?
So it started right before I went into surgery. So this was probably about a good 2 months. So about a month of it, I couldn't do anything about it because I was...
Yeah. Well, I mean, so from the time I meant that they ended the relationship to the time that they became normal or back to normal.
Okay, so when they ended the relationship, maybe about a week, maybe 2 weeks. No, not bad. I was actually pretty happy with it because it was just that
that's quick.
That one person was really just bringing them down.
Yeah.
And you know, they're doing better. I mean, they make mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. So I'm okay with dealing with mistakes as long as you learn from them and learn not to do it again. But like this person, imagine if I had listened to other people and just let them go. I would have. I was like, I don't. Yeah. Like the loyalty and how long they were with me really played a big deal, you know?
Yeah. And I think you could also say that the opposite is true, that if you have an exceptional partner, they can help push you take you to new heights.
Yes.
Right. Which again is a rare thing to find. I'm sure you feel that way with your husband or something similar. It's absolutely key when you have that person.
So it's funny you say that. So my husband, when I first met him, he worked for his uncle. Which his uncle's a great guy, great family. We're very close to them still. But he was a plumber, and he did that for a long time. And, you know, his uncle, there's nothing wrong with the company or his uncle, but I was like telling him, like, look, if we want like a house, if we want all this stuff, this is not going to do it.
Yeah, we got to make more money.
We got to make more money. But my husband is like
It's not cheap to live in New York.
No, it's not cheap. And my we're complete opposites. He's very passive. You know, he's social, but like he's more comfortable with like his close friends only. Yeah. Otherwise, like he's not really that type of guy.
I feel like most people are like that, honestly.
And so when we got married, I just started like, you know, I made his resume. I just started applying for jobs for him.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this, you know, whatever.
Send him to work.
Yeah. And he was like, do whatever you want. Like he wasn't that person to take that step.
Yeah, but he was willing to.
But he was willing.
He was open to it. Yeah. I think that's key. It's not like he was fighting.
No, he wasn't fighting. He was he didn't know the thought of doing this was too much, right? So then he got a interview with the Long Island Railroad, And then I know my husband too, because I know like if he has something to do, like if he has a goal in mind or he really wants to get something, he'll do whatever it is that he needs to do. So then all of a sudden I saw him like researching how to do interviews. He had never been on an interview before.
Wow.
So he was researching, he was watching YouTube videos, he was practicing, and, you know, I would pretend to be like the person and he would interview in front of me. This is before I even had a business. So this wasn't even,
really,
none of this existed. I still worked in Manhattan. And my husband got the job. You know, so my husband literally has only had 2 jobs in his life.
He sounds extremely capable, though.
Yeah,
like
very.
To not have any interviews and that, yeah.
But my husband is like, I knew if he just has this door, he'll do whatever he needs to do to like.
So you were that person for him.
Yeah, but he vice versa for me, because he also, I'm kind of crazy. Like,
I have no comment. I could say a lot of things.
I have a
not
lot
about
of,
you specifically.
No, but I have a lot of energy and
Yeah.
I have a lot of like things I want to do. Right, like I'm not scared.
Where does that come from? Where does your drive come from?
So as much as I hate to admit it, my dad. You know, my dad is really, that's a whole nother subject. Let's not even touch that one. Okay. But my dad was very much a drive. Like he was very driven. He's just not good at building businesses.
Gotcha.
My dad was the greatest salesman and could get you to buy anything.
He's a salesperson. You do the ops.
Yeah. And my mom was the brains behind all the businesses.
Gotcha.
She was the one that would be like, all right, we're doing this, great. And then she would start to scale everything. So I feel like I get good traits from both of them. Like I said, like if you growing up in Florida, my parents were very wealthy. Like our next door neighbor was Dan Marino.
No.
So, yeah. But because of 2008, like all my parents' investments were in real estate.
Gotcha.
So what happened in 2008?
There's a restart.
Yeah.
That must have been tough. That must have been tough for you.
Yeah. It was like we lived in like a 12,000 square foot house and then all of a sudden everything's gone.
That's
like
crazy.
I remember taking my car to the gas station and the credit cards kept getting declined. Couldn't even get gas.
Yeah. That's wild. I can imagine.
It was a lot, you know, but taught me a lot.
Yeah. Well, how long did it take you to recover from that?
Well, obviously my parents didn't stay married. A lot happened there. It was a whole crap storm. But, you know, I think even now, I mean, I still talk about this. Like there was a lot that happened in between there. So it's made me who I am.
By the way, on a public forum. I appreciate it.
I mean, it's made me who I am now, but it's also taught me some things I don't want to do.
Yeah. And plus, look, if there's anything you want to take out, we could chop some stuff up. So
You're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's just like a lot of people don't feel, or including myself, like to be, I mean, it's not that vulnerable, and it's, you know, to be fair, divorce is fairly common, and the number one reason people get divorced is finances. I don't know if that's the reason. We don't need to go into that, but, you know, it's like, it's real, right? Like, especially when someone sees you because you're a very happy, pleasant person to be around that's, again, a serial entrepreneur. And, you know, people probably assume, oh, you know, it's so easy for Brigitte and, you know, she's just like naturally like this. But no, you went through hell, you know, that's not easy to fight through and then come out on top. And then almost lose it several times and keep coming.
Yeah. And I think that's why I am the way I am. I'm definitely a control freak, you know.
I don't get that from you.
At the office, I like things done a certain way.
Yeah.
Right? The office knows what I like, so they make it easy for me. I train them, and as long as it's done the way I want it, I'm good. Like, I'm very easy to please like that. But I had to see a therapist about this. But they said the reason why I'm like this is because of what I went through with my parents.
Gotcha.
All of a sudden, I'm a certain age. I mean, I was 17 when this happened. And our whole life is spiraling out of control. So they said it's a coping mechanism where now I try to control whatever it is so that.
So the thing is, it's your edge. So the problem is what happens if you lose it?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet.
Because I've thought about similar things. Like, I've been in and out of therapy, and it's been like, sometimes I feel like it's great, sometimes I feel like it's a waste of time. But, you know, if you're successful because of trauma, right, and then you talk about that trauma and you come to a realization that that's why the way you are, and then you stop behaving that way because you fix it, do you still do and behave the same way that helps you grow your business?
So she said I'm using it in a positive way.
Okay. And
I should keep doing it that way. The negative that I do is I have this need to take care of the immediate people that I care about the most. to make sure.
Sounds like a very good thing.
Yeah,
But you
it
take on-
is.
but you take on too much.
But I take on too
responsibility.
much responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, I take it like, okay, if they're not going to change their stars, then I'm going to figure out a way to change their stars and do this and I just keep adding, and it, you know, so it has its goods and its bads. But I mean, at the end of the day, this all leads up to my why. Like, I'm a firm believer. Every single individual does what they do because of their why.
What is your why?
My why is really because we lost everything. And, you know, I forbid to let anything like this ever happen again to my family. Like to my mom, my brother, my husband, my daughter. Like, I will do everything in my power to fight for what we have and to make sure that they are all taken care of.
It's a good why.
Yeah. You know, and, you know, so that's what it is. So like,
Thank you, trauma.
yeah, yeah, right.
Appreciate it.
I know. So, I mean, it makes me who I am, and, you know, I just do what I got to do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you do it again very well. You've got all these businesses going on. So, what is next for you? What is next in terms of growth? Are you trying to open more businesses or just like expand what you're doing?
I mean, I'm always looking for businesses. There's always businesses we want to buy. Like, I really want a termite company. I want a cesspool septic company really badly.
That makes sense. So everything in the same line of...
Love that. Yeah.
Because what's the saying? Like, the average millionaire, gajillionaire has, 10, 12 streams of income or something? But usually those streams are connected to each other.
They all feed each other one way or another.
Yeah.
Then the franchise, I mean, our big grand vision is within the next 6 years, we'd love to have 600 locations, right?
That's it?
Yeah, right. The biggest home inspection company has 400 and something right now.
Wow.
So if we have 600, we would be the biggest.
You could just go after them and recruit them all.
Right, exactly. And then Main Street has turned into something bigger that I don't even think I was expecting. Like, people don't realize this. Main Street has I literally started Main Street January of last year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No.
Because prior to that, we had
I thought you guys
real
been around
estate
a really
school,
long time.
but under a different name.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it was under Inspection Boys Real Estate School, which was great, but Main Street is now, like, we separated them. And
It's its own thing.
Yeah, its own thing, and it's turned into something, like, I feel like I have this monster that's, like, about to explode, and it's exciting, it's scared, and I'm, like, you know, I'm trying to, like, get it to where it needs to get to. But I envision Main Street going the same avenues as Inspection Boys franchise too.
Gotcha.
Because it's each state, if we can get it approved in each state, like, it's...
How many states are you in now?
New York, Kansas City, New Jersey...
It's random?
Florida, and South Carolina. 5 states.
Gotcha. I imagine New York is probably the hardest to get a license in.
For what? Home inspection?
Yeah, or for anything.
Home inspection is very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I won't say too hard. Texas is probably one of the hardest states, and Rhode Island.
Really?
Rhode Island. Yeah. We franchising wise, we don't even touch Rhode Island because the license law for home inspectors just make no sense.
I see.
Yeah.
Got it.
So.
Okay. We are way past time, actually. We did well. This went by
went
very
fast.
quickly, Bridge.
Wow.
So let's wrap up. We're going to have you on again because there's like a bunch of stuff that we didn't get into that I want to get into. But for now, any final message for the people of the world, whether it's because, again, we don't have a lot of people like you that are entrepreneurs, right? So for people looking to do what you do, what advice do you have for them? How should they attack? Is it mindset? Is it organization? Like, what do you think?
Mindset, super important, because if you're not in the right mindset, things are not going to happen. Educate yourself, right? I am big on education. I am big on knowledge. So we read a lot of books, or really audibles, right? But I'm big on that because when I get to do another audible and I'm listening to it, I start making so many notes on things I want to implement. 4-Hour Work Week, that book by Tim Harris, life-changing book.
Yeah.
And I've taken that book and I've implemented so much of that book into my business. And
it's a favorite of everyone's. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't implement.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of talkers that don't actually implement. So implementation.
I know a lot of people that have read that book who are successful, and then I have a lot of people who have read that book and they use it as an excuse to like not do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like because I don't remember if I read it It's funny. I met Tim Ferriss.
No way.
When it was so random. I had a friend that was like friends with him, and he launched the 4-Hour Chef.
Okay.
And I met him at, it was brief, and I met him at a club in the city for the launch of the book. This was a long time ago. And I remember that he smelled very bad because, no, there was a reason, because he was going through, I think, something he was talking about on the podcast. It's like using pheromones or something as like, or natural smells for attraction or something. I don't know. But other than that, he was very charming, very like nice guy, pleasant, charming, like great guy, and I'm still a fan to this day.
You know, it's so funny. One of my biggest things, I'm big on smells.
Yeah.
So like I have probably 110 perfumes.
That's
I
thought I had a lot. I've got like 10.
No, and my husband, I buy him. Yeah, that's not even including what my husband has. He doesn't buy them. I buy them.
Yeah.
And but I'm big on like when you walk into our building. All right, you go to Disney World, right? If you go onto the Avatar ride, the 3D one, or any of their rides, have you noticed that there's always a distinct smell?
I haven't been on it, so no.
All right. Well, in Disney World in general, a lot of the rides, they have smells, and it's a smell that you bring back with joy. Like you remember that smell and it makes you really happy, right? Like the Avatar ride, I absolutely love that scent.
So you're connected to smell, so you go and grab the smell.
So our building, I have scent machines all around our building so that people, when they walk in, they have a sense of empowerment and that they feel like they're in somewhere successful. And that's my big thing. So scent marketing is a huge thing.
So we're stealing that, and we're going to end on that note, because again, we could keep going, and there's more that you just gave me another like 20 things to dive in on, but we're going to leave it for now. We're going to have you back. Brigitte, thank you very much for coming. Excellent.